Dave Patti, President and CEO of the Pennsylvania Business Council. Thanks so much for joining us on PMA Perspective.
Happy to be here.
So tell me a little bit about the Pennsylvania Business Council and the involvement with the Pennsylvania Prosperity Project, how it all began and where it is right now.
Well, there are two components to the Pennsylvania Business Council's operations. We are both the Business Roundtable for the Commonwealth, so a public policy organization driven by the CEOs of some of the largest employers in the state, but also we're the state's oldest pro-business political action committee. The Prosperity Project really brings together policy and politics to help employers do a better job of communicating to their employees about the candidates, about candidates' views on the issues important to that company, and about how employees themselves can get involved by being an informed voter.
So some businesses are, and business owners are a little bit leery of sharing political information with their employees. Where's the bright line, and how does the Pennsylvania Prosperity Project ensure that whatever employers are sharing is legal for them to do?
You know, in America, we have an old saying, in polite companies, you shouldn't talk about politics or religion. And no place is that rule followed more than in the workplace. But what we really do know is that employers and employees are in this together. You know, the us versus them today is not labor versus management, but it's the U.S. versus the rest of the world in global competition. And employees really do trust their employers. They trust that if they work hard for 2 weeks, they'll get a paycheck at the end of the period. And so we've learned to tell employers, you can share with your employees your objective information about, here are the things that we care about in public policy. Here's the impact of that public policy on our operations, on our profitability, on our ability as a company of fellow employees to move forward together. And here are where candidates stand on those issues. In the Prosperity Project, we stop short of telling employees how they should vote.
Sure.
But we want to make sure they understand what the issues are, who the candidates are, and fundamentally that's important to register and it's important to vote. It's important to participate.
So you're talking about some of the tools that are on the website, voter registration, vote tracking, some of those things. What are some of the features that if I go to the Pennsylvania Prosperity Project online, what am I going to see?
If people go to the website, which is pennsylvaniaprosperity.org, on any internet browser, they don't need any special software or anything else. Mm-hmm. They're able to put in their own home address and find their candidates for federal and state office. They're able to find out who their current lawmakers are, even down to the local government level. They're able to track federal and state legislation and look at how those people voted on key business issues. And they're even empowered to write letters to their lawmakers. There are some letters already there from which they can pick, choose, modify the information and say, boy, I want to write to someone about this issue that really means a lot to me. But they can also write their own letter from scratch, and the software will automatically send that by email to the federal official, the state official that they'd like to write to. So it gives the employee a lot of power to be an active participant in American civics.
So how can this affect an election?
The Prosperity Project really is a unique way of looking at elections. We tend to think about politics geographically and think about wards and precincts. But you know what's really interesting to think about is your office building where each floor is a precinct, because the people there have more in common than you perhaps have with your neighbor. Yes, neighborhoods have similar issues and concerns, but everybody who goes to work has the issue of a wage earner. Everybody cares about both their personal taxes and the impact of corporate taxes on the company for which they work. Everybody cares about environmental regulations, both that they want a safe, healthy environment to live in, to raise their children in, but they also want to be able to be profitable and competitive. So if we think about politics, not so much on the geographic basis, but on a shared interest group, and that those people who work together can register to vote, learn about their candidates, and then go out and vote based on that information, on that well-informed position, they can really participate. And we saw in previous elections, as employers and employees began to communicate better, some really powerful results of tens of thousands of informed voters going to the polls and casting a vote that benefited them and benefited the business for which they work.
So you're talking about individual businesses, But I mean, the Pennsylvania Prosperity Project is really kind of the brainchild of the Business Council and of allied organizations. Is there a way for businesses to create a customized website that gets the employee the information? Because if an employee sees something from the general P2 website, they might not trust it as much. That trust relationship might not be as high as it would be if it came directly from their employer. Are those opportunities there?
The Prosperity Project was conceived by BIPAC, the Business Industry Political Action Committee, the nation's first political action committee formed for the business community back in 1963. And it was a wonderful vision of saying, let's help employees and employers communicate with each other. Let's use the new found at that time internet and the software capabilities that evolved in the late 1990s. And by the 2000 election, they had put together something that has now evolved to 2014 to be a very, very powerful tool. What's great about that is that it allows you with content management to share information. A picture of U.S. Senator Casey or U.S. Senator Toomey is the same photo no matter what company you work for. Mm-hmm. So the software allows a similar look and feel, but it can be branded to an individual company's use. So a manufacturing company in Pennsylvania can have its own inter or intranet site that is driven by a database of photos, contact information, biographies, put together collectively in Washington so that the expense is shared across all companies and organizations like PMA, like the Pennsylvania Business Council. But all of those companies benefit, all of those employees benefit. And of course, the real brilliance of that is that for a lot of our companies that have facilities in multiple states, that one website powered by a database can allow their workers in Pittsburgh to find information about their candidates, while their workers in Cincinnati find out about the Ohio candidates, while their workers in Tampa find out about the Florida candidates, and while their workers in Fresno find out about the California candidates. It's all driven to be hyper-local in the best of that sense, but allows unified and centralized processing, sharing of information. It also allows the CEO of the company to send out a message to all of her colleagues, his colleagues, and say, look, election day is coming up. It's really important that we vote. I want you to cast an informed vote. Click here to find your candidates. And of course, in each of those areas, they will then enter their address and find their own unique information. It's also important to understand that the employers, there is no capability in the software to track which employees are logging in, logging out. There's no password. There's no tracking by your boss. But this is something we want to encourage people to do at the workplace.
Last question really is, what's your favorite feature that the Pennsylvania Prosperity has to offer?
I think empowering employees to write to their lawmakers, to get involved in government. I think we often talk about the strengths of American democracy without fully embracing all the strengths of American democracy. And we don't always appreciate that lawmakers really do want to hear opinions. Virtually everybody who goes into politics does so really to make the world a better place to serve. They may have different philosophies, different ways of getting to a better world in their opinion. But they, at their heart, want to serve and they want to understand what's on the minds of the people who they represent. And the power of the software to make it easier to give some people some background information on key issues for the business, but also if they want to write about something wholly unrelated to business, to let them know you can participate. And the fact that employers are encouraging that kind of democratic process, that kind of civic engagement, I think is really a testament to BIPAC's vision and a testament to the Prosperity Project on the national scale, and to the employers who embrace it and provide that service to their employees.
Dave, Patti, thank you very much for joining us on PMA Perspective.
Great to be with you.